How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Manatee Gaming. So I'm sitting here and I'm doing some mining, and I decided that I'm going to go ahead and make a video because I have a challenge for myself. And that challenge, guys, is going to be to do a video-a-thon. I am going to try to do a 30-day challenge, and my 30-day challenge is actually going to be to do 30 days of RuneScape video content on the YouTube. So I've decided that, hey, might as well start on the first of the month because, hey, it's a fresh new month, and let's get this thing rocking. So I'm sitting here doing this, but I was just trying to think of myself. I was like, what should I make this video about? Because I was like, you know what, this is definitely going to be a totally wing it video. I did not like prep anything for this video, so I'm basically just going to be pulling stuff out of thin air, and hopefully it's useful for you guys. One of the things I want to mention actually is that some people are actually contacting me about the Luck of the Dwarves ring. So Luck of the Dwarves ring, if you've noticed lately, has been kind of skyrocketing in price. It is actually currently far above mid at the time of making this video. And if you are a person that's been buying or selling those, then you probably noticed it yourself. One of the main reasons why Luck of the Dwarf ring is rising right now is because of the whole Slayer hype. So I have a couple things to say about that actually. The number one thing I want to say about that is that the reason why they're rising, guys, is because people are buying these up and they're wanting kind of to rise. They want to kind of ride the hype all the way to the launch of Slayer 120. So when Slayer 120 is released, when Menopause is released, there's a really big chance that Luck the Dwarf ring is actually going to crash. And the reason why I say that is because of the fact that these people that are kind of trying to ride the hype, they have to have a point where they're selling them, and the most obvious selling point is going to be when the hype is over, which is when the event is actually, well, when the new skill is actually going to be released. I guess not really new skill, but Slayer going to 120 is like it's a skill rework. So when the skill rework is actually launched, I think that's when we're going to see the price of Luck of the Dwarves crash. There is an alternative, though. Remember that I am not the all-seeing eye. I just have a good hunch on this one, just because of the fact that people have bought up Luck of the Dwarves in the past. If you guys remember when Luck of the Dwarves first came out, they just rose and rose and rose and rose. The reason why is because people were hoarding them, people were buying them up and trying to increase the price. There is not really any reason for them to not do it again at this time because it makes a lot of sense because people are going to be buying them up in the hype to do 120 Slayer. Here is something you guys are going to want to keep in mind. For most of the Slayer tasks that you're going to be having while you're doing Slayer, they are not actually going to be really affected by Luck of Dwarves. Obviously, Luck of the Dwarves will impact all of your luck throughout the game, but the only thing is, though, is the Ring of Fortune actually has a large effect on most Slayer tasks, so you don't really have to have much more than the Ring of Fortune as far as doing your general Slayer. So unless you're doing like a lot of high-tier bossing or whatnot, you don't actually even need Luck of the Dwarves, so that's something that people should be considering. I know a lot of people are buying up Luck of the Dwarves because they're like, oh man, I need this for 120 Slayer. But guys, you probably really actually don't need it for most of the tasks. For some of the higher tasks that are going to be coming out for Slayer, like possibly the 115 task, maybe the Slayer boss, maybe the new boss that's supposed to be coming with Menopause. That's the kind of stuff where we might be seeing where you do need Luck of the Dwarves. So it kind of goes both ways. Just kind of think about what you're going to be doing for the most part. In my opinion, if the only thing you're not going to be able to do is the very highest Slayer tasks, like the 115 Slayer task with the ring, then that hardly justifies spending over 50 million gold on the ring. If you have plenty of wealth, then don't worry about it. But it's definitely something you guys should keep in mind if you're thinking about buying a Ring of Wealth. Luck of the Dwarves right now. Is that you can always buy it after Slayer 120 is released, and then if they do crash, you can just buy one up for a lot cheaper. Like I said, though, I'm definitely not the all-seeing eye here. But the thing is, well, not really. But the thing is, I don't really know why I said that. But I'm not the all-seeing eye, so it could go the other way, where they do continue to rise after 120 Slayer comes out. But as far as I look at the market right now, there just doesn't seem to be a reason for that to happen. We can see how it goes. I think a lot of people are going to realize they don't actually need Luck of the Dwarves, and then they can use the Ring of Fortune instead. So that's the big thing with Luck of the Dwarves. Also, another thing I'd like to talk about is going to be aggression potions. So aggression potions are something that in my investing mastery on Patreon we've been talking about for quite a bit. A lot of people in the investing mastery on the Patreon have actually already stocked up on aggression potions, and we stocked up on those babies really, really low, and we're very happy that we've made tons of money on them. So something that to keep in mind with aggression potions is, as long as aggression potions work the way they normally do on monsters in RuneScape, then when the new Slayer dungeon comes out, that means that the Slayer monsters are gonna, people are gonna use aggression potions, because when you look at the game itself, you look at like, okay, so it's a room where you don't have to loot anything on the ground. You're basically just AFK, killing everything. As long as the monsters are AFKable, then that means aggression potions are going to be skyrocketing through the roof. There's not really any reason for them not to, because I know for 100% for sure that I would be using tons of them myself, just because, obviously if I can scan in a room, not have to worry about looting, then I'll just AFK 120 Slayer all the way. Woo! So that's something to keep in mind. And aggro potion flasks are kind of, they're bouncing all over the place. It was pretty cool during Double Experience weekend, and just after that was when I was telling people in the Patreon channel to actually, or the Patreon page, actually to be buying up aggression flasks, and we were able to buy the potions, the 3-dose potions for about 26 to 28,000 each, and the flasks for about 60 to 70,000 each, which is pretty dang awesome, because just shortly after the flasks were 90, and the potion 3s and, well, the potion 4s were at like 58,000 gold. So that was pretty fantastic, and definitely looking to still make some more money on that. If you guys are ever interested in getting this kind of scoop on that kind of stuff, I will be sharing quite a bit of stuff on YouTube. But there are some things like specific merch stuff that I do share on the Patreon exclusively, because if I tell everybody in the entire planet, then it obviously is not going to work. With that in mind, the Patreon is actually, just rolled over into a brand new month. So if anybody is interested in trying out the Patreon, now is a great time to do it, because it is a brand new month, which means you will get the entire month of content. And we got lots of stuff planned this month. So anyway, guys, that's really all I've got to say right now. But I look forward to this whole 30-day of uploads, and I will see you in a video tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're going to be talking a little bit more about how the Slayer is actually going to affect the drops in RuneScape, and how that can impact our Double Experience weekend coming up, and everything else. So look for more on that. If you guys are interested in hearing about that or anything else on this channel, you can always feel free to hit the subscribe. It definitely helps a lot, and I really appreciate your guys' support, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.